Thanks for making it a possibility.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here. Captain Kelly, great to meet you.
You too. I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome.
All right. So
Yeah, same.
it's Stephan, but so are you Greek?
No, I was born in South Africa, so I'm like a Afrikaans speaking American.
So
I'm both.
Stephanus, is that right?
Yes, Stephanus is my given first name, but I mostly just go by Stephan at work.
Okay. Well, I am partial to.
I mean, he could kind of have a little bit of a Greek look to him.
Yeah.
I mean, would Stephanus work for Greek? I mean, it could maybe work.
Yeah, I get asked if I'm Greek a lot when I if someone reads my name on a passport or any form of identification, they ask if I'm Greek.
So, Stephanus, did you know that South Africa is heading into the quarterfinals for the Rugby World Cup?
Absolutely, I did. Now that's one thing, I sound like an American, but again, if I call home and speak to my mom and dad, it's Afrikaans only. So very much still a part of our lives, and have been watching closely.
Oh, it's a
look forward to this weekend as well.
Yeah, very, very big deal. So my husband was a rugby player in college and played, a little bit of college or a little bit of club rugby. And so at the start of this World Cup, we put our bets in. Like, we put in, who do you think? And he said South Africa. He's actually been there. He has South Africa jersey. And
nice.
I was like, I think Ireland's going to take it, but I'm going to root for Wales a little bit because there's some heritage there. They're wiped out. South Africa. So it should be a very interesting weekend.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see. I'm excited.
I think he's done pieced out.
No. Oh, this is always there. This is always there. All right. So
he's the eye in the sky.
Yeah, he is. All right. So let's jump into it because I wrote out some topics and I'm sure we're going to kind of go everywhere, but for sure. So good morning and welcome to Making Waves or whatever it is that Kelly and I are doing here. Maritime Shorts. We're really just jumping into having some juicy conversations with some power pack people and conversations and topics. And we're really kind of seeing what is out there. What do we need to talk about? Obviously, Captain Kelly's on the forefront of mental health. She just got back from Monaco, getting ready to head into the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. So I want to hear all about that. But I had the pleasure of meeting Stephanus last week. He actually, I think, was introduced to Vessel Vanguard from Captain Kelly Gordon. And we immediately started talking about the product. And then we originally, we finally got to, hey, how did you hear about us? And said Captain Kelly, and was just so blown away with her and her message, and specifically brought up the size doesn't matter video and what he's experienced as a male in the industry and how it really hit home for him. So I was like, oh my gosh, Stephanus, I hung up our phone and I called Kelly so fast. I was like, oh my God, you're going to love this. You made an impact. And it's
absolutely
representative in the industry, which is humongous. And so figure we'll just jump into it and we'll kind of kick off with that. So Stephanus, if you want to give kind of an introduction to you and how long you've been in the industry and what your role is, and then we can launch from there.
Sure. So yeah, this is my coming up on the 8th year in the industry. I got in 2016. I graduated from undergrad, went to North Carolina State University. I was a swimmer there for 4 years, but I knew that I didn't want to, I didn't want to go into the business world. Didn't want to go into sales or of any kind. I always have been drawn to a life on the ocean. My parents very much involved with diving, fishing, boating people. So I just figured, I met someone right before I graduated college that 4th year. She was working in the industry and I was like, you know what? This sounds awesome. You're getting paid to move boats around, dream job, right? So that was my initial start into it. And then I just kind of, started as a deckhand bosun mate. At first I was trying to work on 50, 60 meter boats. And then I found my happy size range in the 100 to 120 foot. I like the amount of crew members that we have. It's a little bit more, it's less regimented. You're wearing multiple hats, helping out in different departments. I enjoy it. It kind of removes a little bit of the monotony from the job sometimes. So most recently in the last 2 years, this is my first full-time, I'm employed by one boss. I'm his captain. He's my boss.
Oh, wow.
So this is my first captain job. I just passed 1 year with my boss. I'm very proud of it. Excited about it.
Congratulations. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. You know, it's challenges that come along with it. You know, make no mistake, there's been challenges, but I'm very proud of not only from my side, but from my boss's side, how we've collaborated to understand that it's a working relationship, and there's good times and bad times, and you don't just pull the plug, you know, when from a crew member side, and I think from ideally from the owner's side, you don't just like pull the plug when there's the first sign of a disagreement or something. You know, ideally in your families or in your friendships, you have the ability to step back. Let's have a conversation here and move on. So I was hired by this boss last year on a 72-foot Grand Banks, and on September 18th, so a little bit more than a month now, he we took over a 98-foot West Bay Sunship, you know, Westport hull, finished by West Ship in British Columbia. So yeah, I'm a 98-foot boat captain, got a couple crew members, and just beginning.
There's so
That's
much
freaking
in there,
awesome.
right? I was like, there's so much in there. But
Yeah,
No, there
sorry,
is.
I just went in.
no, I love it.
No, I love it.
So
Yeah,
before
sorry about
Captain
that.
Kelly jumps in, because I know she has questions for you, but
I'm itching. Can you see it? I'm sitting here like, okay,
Yeah, I've just
let
been
me talk. Let me talk.
blabbering.
can you
Sorry.
just add in a small detail, Stephanus, about how you met your current owner? Because wasn't that involved in a journey that you kind of like just said yes to?
Yeah, very much so. So I actually, in August of 2020, with, you know, COVID year and everything, we were super busy through that year, minus the, you know, the 40 lockdown days or whatever. But by May 1st of 2020, we just went straight in. So I wanted to kind of take a break after that job. So I took pretty much all of 2021 off and was just kind of doing other freelance work and going to school. I actually took biology and chemistry courses at UNC Wilmington just because I was interested and thought that I might want to go into the dental field.
We're fellow Seahawks?
Yeah,
No way! I
I'm
didn't.
from Wilmington. I graduated high school in Wilmington.
Oh, no way. That's where I got my master's in chemistry. Oh my God. The
Yeah.
same department, everything. So you know where Beaufort is. My
Oh
house is in
yeah.
Beaufort. Oh my
Oh yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my mom and dad live in Hampstead, just north of Wilmington, right outside. So,
Oh my God. When I first moved out of Indiana, like my first move was to Surf City.
oh,
And when
nice.
I got there and I went over the bridge, I was like, oh, what river is this? I didn't know what the ICW was. And then I get there and I pull up and there's these mounds of sand. I'm like, what the hell are these? It was the sand dunes. The ocean was on the other side.
Big
No
old
joke.
dunes.
I had no idea. So I drove through Hampstead every day because I lived in Surf City and then went to
hmm
UNCW. Oh my God, small freaking world.
Yeah. So I took 2021 off, and then I was just kind of, you know, very open minded. Sorry to appreciate you interjecting. I'm just trying to keep your
No,
hard cutoff time.
No, we're good.
Apologize.
We're good.
oh, and I'm terrible. I blow that out of the
um,
water. So somebody's got to be in line.
I, I love that. So yeah, I just, you know, while going to school in breaks or in periods, most of it was online. So in periods that I could manage, I'd go do deliveries or run a charter with a friend of mine as a mate just to have some money coming in. Um, and a buddy of mine was actually managing the 72 for my boss. The boss had offered him the full-time job, but he, for whatever reason, didn't want it. So he put my name forward to kind of just do the freelance trip. I came in, met the boss, and actually, like, I mean, we spoke and we had just negotiated, you know, these dates, day rate, whatever, and then we'll go from there. I went home and I was actually just sitting at home hanging out with my girlfriend, and I was like, I looked at her, I was like, I feel like he's gonna call me and offer me this job. I think it might be after the trip, but I feel like he's gonna offer me this job. And 45 minutes later, the phone rings and he's like, "Hey, you want to be my full time captain?" I was like, "Yes, sir, I do. Let's go."
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
That's
it's just
awesome.
a tale of persistence and not giving up on a dream. I've, you know, from day one, I've wanted to be a yacht captain. Even when I was a deckhand, I always was looking at the people that were above me with respect and trying to learn everything from them, with while also knowing the entire time, like, I want to be there. I'm trying to be there. I'm going to take the steps that are needed in order to be there. So I'm very, very proud of it, really.
That's awesome. You should be. That's so
Thanks.
exciting.
All right,
Appreciate
Kelly,
it.
what you got? I want to hear your brain.
Yeah, I want to hear
Oh my God.
yours.
Well, I just I'm so excited. First of all, that I mean, we got to be kindred spirits because like we're fellow Seahawks and like he knows where Surf City is and nobody knows where Surf City is and
Oh yeah,
Beaufort and all of that. So I'm just like, oh my God, how did the stars align? But like, you should be super proud of it. But you know what I want to, what I want to dive into, first of all, kudos for you coming on here and being so proud of your accomplishments. You should be. But when Rhiannon reached out to me and she was like, "Oh my God, he said such good things about you. I have to tell you about it." You know, because we gotta share the positives in our day. And so it was just
no
so
doubt,
uplifting when she told me that like you were a fan, and I was like, "Oh my God," you know. And
definitely.
then, but then she said that what really resonated with you was my size matters post. And I
Hmm.
was like, and I shouldn't genderize, if that's a word, but I was like, a guy? Really? My size mattered post. And you know, and when I made the post, my default was towards women because I hear a lot of times about, you know, captains hiring women based on their skirt size and that kind of thing. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
just total bullshit. And so my post was that way. So I hadn't honestly thought about that post being aimed towards men and it really resonating with men. So when she told me it did, I was like, that was like a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, oh my God, you know, like, yeah, that could really potentially resonate with men as well. So tell me, tell me why. And I can't believe that post has blown up. I looked at my stats on that the other day and I'm just like, oh my God, I must have struck a good nerve with a few people. But tell me why that resonated with you.
yeah. So I kind of I feel pretty strongly about this one. So I believe that that post is blown up because it's not that it's not as common of an occurrence for uh, anybody, but let alone a captain to publicly create dialogue about this because we've all worked on boats where this has been present. Unfair treatment of crew members based upon weight or tattoos or anything like that, basically physical appearance. But the only way that it's ever going to change is the people that have the ability to change, like to make decisions not based upon those incorrect metrics. So I think that's why your post has gained a lot of activity, is because it's probably very refreshing for male, female crew members, all crew members, just like it was for me to hear a captain speak about that. And you didn't drop that other captain's name or ruin anything. That's not what it's about. You're not
Mhm.
trying to cancel that guy. We're just trying to create an environment where let's let's just be fair. Let's work with one another for the correct reasons. And for me as a captain, if I trust you and you work hard, let's go. Let's work.
Well, have you ever experienced any size discrimination, or any sort of gender, size, race discrimination that kind of fits in that category? Have you experienced any of that personally?
My only experience was there was a senior crew member to me on a boat that was a male. Oh no, we dipped out. Are we still connected?
You're there. You're there.
Okay, cool. Just making sure I didn't lose you guys. Yeah, so I was working on a boat and had a superior crew member, someone above me, a male, try to touch me, and when I spoke to that captain about that and brought it to his attention, it was kind of brushed off like, yeah, people walk by one another in the workplace all the time, and I was like, whatever. It wasn't at that time. I didn't, you're a deckhand on a big boat. You don't really feel comfortable kind of kicking up a scene. You just kind of exit stage left and keep it moving, which is what I did at the time.
Was he referring to
So
you and that you were trying to be seen?
no, 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 no. What he was saying was like, I just complained that this guy was like brushing by me and like touching me,
Oh, I got you.
and he was just like, people brush by each other in the workplace all the time. And anyway, it was not something that, I've never personally experienced. Like I'm a tall guy, so I'm above that like height requirement that you find usually for deck crew members, where some boats like, hey, I want tall people or whatever.
What?
Oh yeah, I've been for an interview on like an 85 meter boat. This is like 6 years ago, so not present day, but yeah, they
Oh
wanted
my God, that's so stupid.
Wait,
I'd be
minimum.
screwed because I'm only 5'4".
Yeah, minimum height for the guys on deck were 6'2".
what?
Yeah,
I'd be in
minimum.
trouble. That's so
Yeah,
dumb.
it was
Like
a
the
it
average
was a
height is
huge
6
boat.
foot.
Well, and
Yeah,
Kelly,
I
how
know.
many 6'2" females do you see out there?
You don't.
Right?
I'd be
Exactly.
in
So it's
so
like,
much trouble. I mean,
yeah,
like, you know,
I
so
didn't
this
accept
is,
the job, but yeah, I mean these things exist, and
well, so when Rhiannon told me that my post resonated with you, I was thinking, I was thinking, okay, maybe did he experience something personally or something like that? But now that you're telling me, this is almost more rewarding and almost more profound to me because look, I got to be honest. Sometimes, when I make these posts and I put this stuff out there, I mean, it's going on the internet, like the whole world sees it. So I'm like, oh God, am I saying the right thing? Am I saying it the wrong? Like, I mean, my own insecurities start to creep in about what I'm posting. But I'm just
certainly,
like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm saying it because somebody needs to say it. And the fact that it resonated with you as a captain, that I don't want to say it gives me more reward, but a lot of the junior crew, my posts really resonate really well with,
yeah,
and probably more of them are geared towards them to help them and to bring them up, but also to get to the captains, and not in a sense that, like you say, like I'm trying to oust them or anything like that, but to maybe make them
yeah,
think, you know what? Yeah, the boss says that he won't hire anybody, anyone bigger than a size 6 score, but maybe the captain hears my post and is like, yeah, that's maybe I should challenge that.
yeah. Maybe I
So
can have a conversation with them about that.
yeah, and so I'm now more excited that it resonated with you from a leadership standpoint,
Mhm.
and knowing that there are other captains out there that think that that's bogus.
Yeah,
I was blew my mind. I sat down with a management company, and spoke with them in Monaco, and one of the recruiters just was, she felt so bad that early on in her career, early on when she was becoming a recruiter and not knowing the industry, and this was also maybe a few years ago, she was required by the management of a company that she was placing crew for to have the girls submit videos full length, walking towards the camera and away from the camera.
Wow.
And I was just like, you
that's
got to be joking. And then I did a reference check the other day, on a stew, because the position was open on my boat. I called a captain, and he says, she's great. She's a team player. She's wonderful personality, good at her craft. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta hire this chick. And we get to the end of the call, and he says to me, but there's something you should know. And I was like, okay, go ahead. And he's like, she's big. I'm like,
Wow.
huh? She's big, is what she said. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I said, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, size extra large skort. And I was like, well, I'm a size extra large short. So does that mean I'm out for the job too?
yeah. Come on,
Like, oh, that size shouldn't
doesn't matter.
matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Like
No, size
nowhere in
doesn't
the
matter.
equation is that important. It's not
Yes.
important.
I'm like, okay, we laugh and joke about it when I try to fit into a bilge space and my butt's too big because I can't go. So then we go get the other guy that's a little slimmer than me so that he can fit. But going back to that, one of my deckhands is really thin. And he struggles with that because he's thin. You guys want to be all big and muscly and beefy and everything like that. And I see that what my other two guys are bigger guys, and he's leaner, and I'm sitting here telling him, he's young. I'm like, buddy, ride that horse while you can, because when you hit 40 and 50, it's going to be hard to keep the belly off. I'm like, so embrace being thin right now. But
Uh-huh.
but no, it's a real thing, and it
Yeah.
and it shouldn't matter. And I'm so glad to see from a leadership perspective. And for me, my goal, the more the more these things that I say or post or bring up that resonate with leaders, that's where we see the change. Because now, when maybe you or somebody else will say, you know what, maybe I do challenge the owner a little bit and say, well, why not?
Yeah.
Just because she's a size extra large squirt, like she's amazing at her craft, her personality, she brings life to the boat. Who cares
Attention
if
to
she's got a
detail.
big
I mean,
butt?
there's
Yeah. I mean, it's
she
just, I
getting
don't
her
know.
work done. Like
Yes.
that's it. You getting your work done, we're cool. You're not, we're probably not going to be cool. Come on. Like, it's not that
But
hard.
kudos to you, because I see, and I don't want to throw the men under the bus, but I hear about the men that want to be blah, and they want to have these cute little girls running around and
Yeah.
and for their own eyeball candy. And I hate to be like this, but it's real. I've heard it,
Yeah.
you've heard it, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
just it shouldn't be like that.
I think
I
the
mean, it should
education
really
comes
just
in this,
be.
and like there is a ripple effect. Because I was telling, and Stephanos, I didn't tell you this because it was after our conversation, but Kelly and I, one of the other captains that I know, was also affected by that clip on size doesn't matter, because one of her crew members came to her after that and said that she was struggling with a serious eating disorder because she was so self-conscious of keeping her job and trying to fit into a certain size, and opened up to her captain and said, I need to talk to you about this. And when it blossomed their relationship, the captain was very aware of Captain Kelly in that message as well, and was also prepared to handle that. But it was like that next step, right? Of like, okay, so there is a stigma out there. There's been a certain way of thinking for a long time. Okay, let it be what it is. But now it's like, well, now there's a job to educate these owners, these captains, these crew members of, if you learn how to communicate and you learn how to address this with posture and from a logical standpoint, like there can be some serious change very quickly.
No doubt.
There can, and I'm seeing it already, and I'm so excited because, like, even the posts that I get, or when I was in Monaco giving one of my talks, this young girl walks up to me, tears running down her face right before my talk, and I'm like, and wanting to talk to me, and she's like, I just want you to know she shows me her phone and says, my whole text message feed with my mom is about you and the messages you're sending. And she says, you made a post about a toxic boat. And she says, you gave me the courage to leave. And I was like, oh my God, like, so the change is happening.
Yeah.
It's happening. One crew member here, another here, another here, another here. And I wanted to touch back on education. This is something that's been coming up a lot. And you can probably identify with this as a captain. We become captains because we like driving boats, we love weather, we love nav. And then no one ever tells us that that's 10% of your job. 9% of your job is your mom, your dad, your camp counselor, your HR, your accountant, your CEO of a company. And that's 90% of our job. And how little training do we have on leadership?
On the big
And
chunk of it.
that's the biggest chunk. And
Yeah.
I've been, people ask me, they was like, well, have you had like formal leadership training, that kind of thing? And I said, well, I've spent so many years in academia, it kind of comes with it, but not so much that is the self-study that I do on my own. I've got so many YouTube channels marked on leadership and public speaking and self-esteem. So I think that we all need to be, I don't care whether you're the captain of the boat, HOD, or you're the deckhand, or, the third stew, whatever. We are all leaders in some right, and we all need to be responsible for our own education. So I want to encourage people to do some self-study, do some own personal and professional improvement, and read. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm imagining, just get from feeling your vibe, you probably do your own reading on leadership or how to handle sticky situations and stuff like that. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head with what you just said. It's like, I had this conversation recently over the last few days with my dad, actually. I was like, man, on these first few months in this new boat, nail on the head. I became a captain because I enjoy driving a boat. I like tough docking situations.
Yep.
And weather forecasting and planning and being prepared and understanding very clearly that when this boat leaves this dock, whoever is on board is wholeheartedly trusting me, and I better be making correct decisions here. Not only am I proud of that, you're 100% right. That's the easiest part of the job. That's the part that I, like, dare I say, I do for free because I love to do it. Like the contractor management, planning 2-3 months in advance, managing owners' expectations and crew expectations, and kind of this is delicate balance of things that I'm learning very quickly. Like, whoa, okay, so there's a whole nother department to your job that, prior to
There
this, I was
is.
basically solo crew and didn't need it. So
90% of our training is for 10% of our job,
yeah,
if you think about it. So
that's spot on.
we get what? We get a 5-day bridge resource management course. Yes, it's great. Don't get me wrong. The course is amazing and it's eye-opening, but I think we also need to understand that the other 90% of our responsibility, take some of those. There's tons of good free workshops or even paid workshops. Invest in your own education. You don't have to get a Coast Guard ticket or license or certificate at the end of it. It could be just to make you better at your job. So yeah, kudos to you, man. Like we need more of you in this industry. This is just freaking
Same
awesome.
with you.
I think this is
Same with you. I was about to say that.
This is
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like I think right now, as like you guys are talking, like, oh my gosh, like we have two incredible captains, a male and a female, that are out there. They're both experienced some hardships and they've overcome them, and it's made them wiser, and they want to make an impact for the other captains and up and coming yachties and crews and future captains. I think that's incredible, because once you see somebody, they're like, oh, like if you experience any type of trauma, right? Emotional trauma, physical trauma, it's there. It's sitting with you. It's in the back of your mind. It's on your back, and it's hard to go forward. And when you see somebody that also experienced it and they got through it and they're a resource, you're able to either look at it and say it's okay, or you find some resources to knock that off your shoulders. But I think this is incredible what you guys are doing, and I'm really speaking to just what the potential is out there. Jump into what you're going to do at Flibs, Kelly. I don't know. Are you going to be at Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, Stephanis?
I will be, my boss. So we're still trying to sell the 72 Grand Banks. So we'll be at the Worth Avenue booth. So I'll be there all of the days. So I'll definitely be.
I have 2 seminars. You have to come. You have to come to at least one. And
absolutely. I'd love to.
You better be prepared to engage, because once I know you're in the audience, buddy, it's game on.
Let's go. I can project.
Find you.
I can project. I speak loudly.
No, this is awesome. No, I have 2 events that I'm just so excited about. I mean, Monaco just happened. That was amazing. So my first event that I did at Palm Beach last year, I went from going, oh my God, what if nobody shows up, to, oh my God, we're out of chairs. And it was standing room only. Over 80 people came, and I was just like, oh my. So then I go into Monaco, and I have Pete Southgate of Cayman Islands. Love the guy. He's amazing. He's kind of been my mentor for these, and my push and my support for doing the talks. And he called me up before Monaco and says, we need to meet for coffee. I need to talk to you about Monaco. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, I want to set your expectations. He goes, your first one out the gate was huge attendance. He said, Monaco is a different animal. You've never been. He said, be happy if you get 20 people in the room. And I'm like, okay. He says, I'm not saying that your message isn't important, that people don't want to come. He says, but Monaco is so busy. Be happy with 20 people. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I really appreciated him setting me up, properly up here. I do my first one, which is 2 hours. And this is the one, Pete, I had a 2-hour one and a 1-hour one. And Pete says, I'm worried about the 2-hour one. He says, that's going to be really hard. It's really hard to get anybody to sit still at Monaco anyways, let alone for 2 hours. And I said, well, that's the one that I'm not worried about. That one's going to be easy, because it was more conversational, more workshop-like. The 1-hour one was me standing there talking for like 40 minutes straight,
Oof.
And so the 2-hour one, we filled the room. We had over 60 people. So we went from setting the expectations for 20 to it's going to be tough to get people to sit for 2 hours to over 60 people. And
Let's
it
go.
was amazing, the engagement from the audience, the tears, the good tears, the stress tears, the people being able to let things out, walking away with information on how they can handle. And I said, if there's one thing I wanted you to leave the room with after that Monaco talk, was as a crew member, I want you to feel empowered to speak up and know that you have an obligation to speak up for yourself and for your crewmates and for the betterment of the industry. And then, so that one was just over the moon successful. And then the second one that I did was an hour long, and not, it was kind of a different sort of venue. And I think we ended up with almost 50 people at that one. It was amazing.
Wow.
Like, I was expecting, again, probably about 20 at that one. That one did really well. So super stoked. So going into Flips is next week. And so excited about that. Again, I've got my own insecurities and my nervousness on the inside. Who's going to come? How many people's going to show up? It's at the convention center. Is it going to be too far? Are people not going to want to come? So I have 2 over there. And Informa put me on a time diet. I can't believe they only gave me an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to have to drink lots of coffee and talk really fast to get it all in. But so the first one that I'm doing is geared on some of the stickier topics like sexual harassment, gender and size discrimination, drug and alcohol abuse, so that people can walk away with some tools, some advice, some suggestions on how you can approach other crewmates that maybe are potentially sexually harassing you, or if you've got a captain that's doing it, what do you do when it's him or her? Yeah. And then the next talk the next day is more kind of on the climate of mental health in the industry. So sharing some statistics of what crew have shared, but then also even just with the talks that I've done since earlier this year, I want to share with people to know that we're making a difference. I'm getting the messages. People are that have hosted me to give these talks are getting the messages that the change is coming. And I think that's so important for people to hear. You know, I can stand up there on stage all day and say, you got to speak up, you got to speak up. But I now, writing my speeches over the last, week, I've kind of changed some of the information that I'm going to put in the one, and it's to let people know the change is happening. We're seeing it. I'm getting the feedback from people that they've spoken up and they've had success, or they've decided to leave a boat and they're in a much better place now. So that's what the 2 of those are over. So I'm super excited about those.
I am excited to as well. I think one of the biggest things that
love to attend.
Like, there's 2 things that you 2 have said repeatedly from your own experience and from this conversation is when you put yourself out there, really good things have the opportunity to happen for you. Stephan, that stuck out for me when you told me about your story of taking that first boat and really just having to kind of like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. Like, even if I have to map it out on my phone, and what it turned into to the opportunity you have now. I mean, from what I've seen, turnover is massive in this industry. So to be in a spot where you are there for over a year and you have a great relationship is phenomenal. And then, Kelly, you just putting yourself out there with that video of size doesn't matter. That's an edgy topic, right? And like, should I put that out there? But holy cow, when you just like
takes guts.
Yeah, you jump. And it's making such a huge impact. I think it's really, really important.
But you know what?
Go.
For you to come on here though as a captain, and it takes guts. So it's easy for me as a woman to speak about size doesn't matter and stop shaming the women. But for a male captain to come on here and say, yeah, it's bullshit. Size doesn't matter and it shouldn't matter. When you've got other men.
And how does that relate to men, right? Because I think our men go under a whole lot of scrutiny that we don't even realize. They're not given a voice. They're not given a space to say how they feel. But like for Stephan, for you to say, like, I experienced that, my brain was like, how, right? Like that was my first thought was like, how did you experience it? You're a good looking guy, right? Like you've got the Greek presence, but like, but that's me is, a judgment of like, well, how did you experience that? And I think that is so important because I guarantee there are more out there that have experienced very similar situations.
But what he's opened himself up to now, though, is he's speaking out and he's saying, no, captains, this is this is bullshit. You can't be hiring people based on their height. You can't be hiring them based on their skirt size. And so, but
I'm
now
with you.
what I am so proud of you for championing this, because there will be other captains that you come in contact that you have to stand up to and say, dude, you can't hire her over her
That's not
just
right.
because she's prettier. Yeah, but that takes balls for you, man, to stand
Takes
up and
guts.
to say to other captains, to your other male cohorts, dude, that's not right. You can't do
Yeah.
that.
Or if
So
somebody came
kudos
to
to
him,
you.
right? If somebody came to him and said the same thing that he said to his captain, what an incredible opportunity to address that differently.
Yeah.
Be
No, so
the
kudos
change.
to you. Yeah, no, kudos to you for speaking up, because I think some topics are easier for me to speak about because I'm a woman, but for you to go against, I don't want to say go against, but to stand up to any sort of male captain or counterpart, colleague, whatever you want to call it, and say, no, dude,
Yeah.
and challenge them on their hiring tactics. That's Rhiannon, that's big for him to be like,
I appreciate
I
that.
love that. Yeah.
My goal is just to, my goal is just to be exactly what I didn't like that was done to me or see done to others. How can I take those situations? Again, we've all seen them, we've all been exposed to them, but how can you take that unfortunate situation that either was done to you or you saw done to someone else and say, all right, let me not repeat that. Let me go. If I'm ever in that situation again, I'm going to act like I know is right. And that's it.
Well,
I have to give you the biggest hug. Rhiannon,
Yeah,
we just have
we'll
to
make it
squeeze him.
happen we'll happen next week. We'll make it happen next week for sure.
I love that you're proud of your accomplishments, but as you were speaking, I was like, your parents have got to be so stinking proud of you. Like, that's incredible.
They were like asking, I told them about us having our podcast this morning. They're like, how can we watch it live? I'm like, guys, it's going to be recorded and they'll post it after. I'll send you everything.
We'll send it.
Yeah, so kudos to mom and dad. They've done an awesome job,
that.
and kudos to you for pushing and wanting to see the change, and just being very simple and saying that simple, but it's huge. I don't want future crew members to have to go through what I had to go through, and to stand up and to make that change. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited.
I want to just say something about you. Is it cool if I call you Kelly? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I want to say that, I mean, I've always had this belief or goal that I want to make some sort of presence for myself on the internet, whether it like just to document my journeys as a captain in my career. And yeah, I think like seeing your posts and how you're just kind of like, you're in the bridge or you're talking about EYS or, you're just you're shedding light on the process that's involved in being a captain, how you deal with crew, incorrect hiring tactics, how you and your engineer and your first officer get along. I mean, your message is all encompassing, not just, things that are, perpetrated incorrectly, but also, you're building relationships with companies like EYS and helping them market their business, which is an awesome company, by the way. I use them as well.
Oh my God. I love them.
Anyway, so you're a big inspiration for me. And I'd like to kind of use kind of tactics and things that I see you do and maybe kind of enter a similar style of role in this industry. Cause I believe in it. I enjoy this industry. It's offered me opportunities that I would not ever have experienced if I didn't work in this industry. So the difficult times, when dealt with appropriately, can lead to a great time. So.
And I'm gonna be, now that you've told me that you want to try to have some sort of presence. Oh, you never should have told me that.
Let's go.
Me and Rhiannon are sitting here thinking, going, oh, what can we do with him?
Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Oh.
So
no,
I will tell you guys,
that's awesome. If you could do that, to have a male captain speak up about some of these things, Rhiannon, is huge, because I mean, you're I don't want to say you're going against the grain, but you're challenging the status quo, and it takes guts to do that. So yes, so freaking kudos to you, man.
Thank you.
You guys are shedding light into an area that needs it. We did a podcast with Captains for Clean Water a couple months ago, and their storyline is that, they're going up against the Goliath in so many ways of trying to get funding, get awareness, all the good things. And one of the things that Captain Chris Whitman said, he goes, there's a lot of dark energy. There's a lot of dark motives out there. It's just kind of been the way for a long time. I said, but the one thing is when you shed light into a certain corner, there's just no denying it, and people have to do the right thing. And it has stuck with me in so many different scenarios, and that's exactly what you two are doing. Is you're shedding light into some really old, antiquated behaviors that have just kind of sat there and they've existed, and people have let them go because they've just always been that way. And what you're doing is you're shedding light, and people will have to do the right thing because it's just you're bringing awareness to it. So kudos to both of you, and it's not easy to do. So you're putting yourself out there, but I think good things are going to come from this. I see the collaboration bubbles in Kelly's.
But your platform, you providing us the platform, and you spending the time thinking and putting us together and in the same space to have these conversations, like that's huge. I mean,
Absolutely.
So no, seriously, kudos to you too, Rhiannon, for putting this platform together for us to have these conversations.
Totally
and
selfish.
you spend a lot of time on this.
I can just sit back and have a cup of coffee and listen to these two, titans of the industry talk. Okay, that's not a problem.
And you're still at home working from the home office while Chris is at the Vessel Vanguard office, and you're like, haha, sucker, you're in the office, I'm not there
yet.
Who's
the winner?
So, I'm on my way to see him, so he'll see my video. So what I'd love to do is, I know you both have resources and you both kind of reference them, but what we'll do is we'll tag some of the resources that you two are using individually. So whether it's books, YouTube channels, other people that maybe are inspiring you, so that we can point into some directions of things that you've utilized and that you continue to use to educate and support you as you're going through it, this awareness and education. So if you have anything out there that you're utilizing, we'll put it down there. Obviously, Captain Kelly, we're going to tag you in your FLIBS seminars. Really excited for that. And I think, one of the biggest things that keeps ringing through from, just this educational part of it is communication. Whether that's with, your principals, your owners, your crew, yourself. I mean, just really being willing to have those vulnerable conversations. I met a guy in the airport a couple of days ago, and he said that's literally what he does for a living, is that his company job is he travels around to each one of the locations and just teaches people how to communicate. And he's like, it's incredibly simple, but people just don't know how to communicate. So I think it's really cool to see what you guys are doing. Before we, kind of launch into, tapering off, we have about 10 more minutes or so. Could each of you speak to how does the lack of communication affect that overall culture? How does it affect your day-to-day with the owners? I think that's a big part of it, but also with your crew, especially given what you do. Like you're everywhere, right? And there's a lot of different scenarios. So if you could speak to what does communication mean to you as you are running job of being a captain on a yacht?
Run with it, Stephanos. Go.
All right. So for me, communication is everything. I base everything on like my family household. I feel as though I was blessed to be raised by like level-headed parents that were dedicated to raising their children and trying to make good people out of them. I really, how do I say this? So I believe that I was given a great example to follow in how we communicated in conflict resolution that happened in the household from when I was a child. That when I meet someone that maybe wasn't given that opportunity, I get frustrated. Like, why don't they have the conflict resolution skills that I think I have, or communication skills? I have to retract myself then and just say, hey, maybe this is a teaching moment. Maybe you can teach this person a thought process. Hey, let me just take a step back here mentally and approach this from a different side. I'm learning that a lot more, obviously, now that I've got crew members working with me. That's how communication relates to the crew member side of things that I'm just now stepping into. I want to make that abundantly clear. I'm learning new things every day. It's crazy, but it's fun. It's, stressful at times, but again, I made the decision to be here. I repeatedly every day make the decision to be here and continue to be here. So I love it. How communication has affected my, communications with the owner. initially, because this is my first captain job, every other job I had prior to this, basically when you're not the captain, you don't really talk to the owner. Like when he's on the boat, you kind of conversations, but you're not like reaching out to the boss on, about this or that. So initially I didn't feel comfortable to call my boss every day if I have a question about something, or if I need to run something by him. At first I was like, oh, I don't want to bother him. I was like, we got to ixnay that one. If you got a question for the guy, give him a call. And if he's mad at you for calling, be like, dude, I'm in charge of a lot and I want to make sure that I'm doing right by you. So it's positively affected my relationship with my owner, just more repetitive updates on game plan for the week, game plan for the next couple of weeks. How are we looking for trip prep? He just wants to know that my brain is thinking about all of the avenues that I should be, and that I'm not forgetting anything. So
totally,
yeah, it's everything.
Plug, but you know what's going to help with that?
Vessel Vanguard, exactly. I'm waiting. I'm telling you, you have no idea. I'm like, I understand. I'm learning that it's very much timing related with my boss. Like, when you pitch something, many times is directly related to whether or not it gets accepted. And so I've been able to pinpoint when there's a week of, hey, if you want to ask for something that obviously is, I'm not asking for, something for me personally, like stick something in my pocket. Vessel Vanguard is something that, it's for the boat. It's for the betterment of the owner. It's helping for resale value. It's going to improve my skills as a captain. But it's not, I'm not asking for something in my pocket. I'm asking for this boat to get something that's going to make it run more efficiently.
And improve that relationship. I mean, communication, that is a big part of it. I mean, it just creates transparency and visibility. So, yeah, total shameless plug.
No doubt.
I'm okay with it.
I'm so happy you did.
I want to add to that shameless plug, though, because, and kudos to Chris and Tyler, who are on the back side of this screen. When I went to Monaco is like when I decided to start the onboarding for my boat, and I handed it off to my first officer, and Sean has run with it. He's done a great job, but you guys on the back end have really done a great job of working with him and communicating back and forth with him. Again, the communication, I see the email chains and stuff like that. And it just makes me happy on so many fronts to know that he's okay with you guys and you guys are going to take care of him, because they're like my kids, But then it makes me proud of him to see him run with it. So now, like, he's going to have to be, he's going to be the one that's like training the whole crew on how to properly use Vessel Vanguard now. So like he has,
what an opportunity.
I love it. And cool. I'm so glad we have adopted the software, but now he's like become the Vessel Vanguard guru of the boat now. Yay! So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
That's amazing.
All right, Kelly, is there anything else that you want to put out there? I mean, we will tag the events and everything, but is there anything else that you want to speak to? I know, like, I can like feel your energy right now.
Well, I just think that you really need to text Chris really quick. Tell him to cancel the next recording that you have, because
we'll just keep going.
Yes. So sorry.
I'll tap out. No. I'll just let them keep going.
Yeah. You can go do that and it will still be here when you come back.
Yeah, we'll still be talking.
Yeah, no, the communication piece is huge, and for you, even again, I just am so excited for you, because you come on here as a captain. You, first of all, you admit that this is your first command, that you're new. You admit that you're learning, and that's huge, because I think even new, younger budding captains need to hear that you're going to mess it up. You're going to try a new communication tactic and it's not going to work. And you're going to have to say to your crew members, guys, I screwed that one up. I'm sorry, but when you said, let's take this as a teaching moment, that was music to my ears. Wow. Because if you can see all these weaknesses, what's great about weaknesses is their opportunities to learn and their opportunities to teach. And the fact that you see that is huge, and being being open with your crew and letting them know that, guys, this is my first gig. I'm not going to get it right every time, you know?
I will not. Simply will not.
And 15 years later, you still be messing it up.
Exactly.
But, you know, like, no, Rhiannon, I can't wait till we see him next week and get to give him the biggest squeeze.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. We'll definitely coordinate it.
Good things are coming for sure. Well, I'm super grateful, Stephanos. Thank you for being willing to just like very quickly, hey, can you get on camera with us and talk about some of the most vulnerable areas for you personally and then for the industry. So thank you for being open. Again, kudos to your parents. I'm really excited to send a copy of this over to them.
They'll be very happy to hear you say that.
But super grateful for you both and what you're doing. I'm just very, very privileged to be within your circle of expertise and to call you both friends. So thank you for your time, and we will tag anything and everything. If you guys have any questions for either one of these amazing captains, please, send it in to us, or you'll have all their contact information for their social media profiles, and we'll get that out to you.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right, say bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.